Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Yes, this is the place where you can find the answers to your mental health, relationship, and family questions. I'm your host, Jim Hewitt. Glad you've tuned in today. I think you're going to find today's topic very interesting, so I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lifeline for our Daily Living. Glad that you've joined me again this week. I want to look at something this week that I think has some unique challenges, that there are special kinds of needs with regard to what I'm going to talk about today. And so I hope that you'll keep watching and listen real close to what I'm getting ready to talk about. You know, parenting, I think you would agree with me, parenting is one of the most difficult things to do. There are so many challenges that go along with and are a part of parenting. All of our kids, no matter whether you have 2 or 3 or 6 or 10 or 12, every one of those children have different temperaments, different personalities, different likes, different dislikes. Different points of view on things. Some children are harder to raise than others. Some have special needs that other children may not have. But I think if you compound single parenting on top of that, I think there's some unique challenges. And many times I will have single parents come into my office here, and they're frustrated, they're angry. They're just kind of fed up with, and just wish they could escape for a little while because of the challenges and the difficulties of being a single parent. Think about it for just a second. If you're a single parent, or you know a single parent, both roles of father and mother, if you will, both those roles are all tied into one person, and you don't have that other person in the home, whether it's mother or father. You don't have that other person in the home to kind of help you with and kind of take up some of the slack, if you will, or give you some relief, or take the kids here, or just watch the kids while you go out with the guys or you go out with the gals. You don't have that readily available to you, and so it's 24/7. And then you put on top of that the fact that you have a single parent income. Not only are you this mother, father, discipliner, fun person, all rolled into one, but you're having to work on top of that. And some of you may be working 2 jobs. Whether it's 2 full-time jobs or 2 part-time jobs, or a part-time job and a full-time job, just to make ends meet. Well, I want to give you some tips today on how to survive, really how to survive and even thrive with regard to being a single parent. It's your responsibility. I go back many times, and you heard me say in other podcasts and quote this scripture out of the Bible that says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." The optimal phrase there, the word that I really want to focus on is train. Train up a child. Well, you as a single parent, you're responsible for that. You're the one who has to guide that child into adulthood with the unique challenges of being a single parent. And so our job, if you will, our responsibility is for us to train our children to become confident, not only in their childhood, go to school and make good grades and have fun and be disciplined at home and do the chores and help out and all those kind of things, but we're really training them to be adults. I've said many times, and probably will say it many more times, that you're not training an 11-year-old, you're really training a 22-year-old. And that responsibility is compounded, if you will, when you're looking at single parenthood. Those who research this kind of stuff tell us that in a very few short years, this is really important now, in a very few short years, single-parent households will outnumber intact family two-parent households. Now think of that for just a second. In our culture, in our American culture, in a very few short years, single-parent homes will outnumber dual-parent homes. There is, whether you have become single by divorce, or whether you have become single and that other parent was never involved with the kid, or maybe tragically there's been a death and you've become a single parent that way. Regardless of how that has happened, single parent homes are going to soon outnumber two-parent homes. And so I want to talk to you today and kind of give you some tips on how to survive and how to thrive as a single parent raising confident kids. Okay, so let's dive in. I want to give you six tips today. Tip number one, I want you to live in gratitude and not guilt. Now again, whether it's you're single as a result of a divorce, or that the other parent has never been, doesn't wish to be involved, whether you have through unfortunate circumstances, you have had your parental rights terminated, whatever has happened there, the other parent is not involved, they have had their parental rights terminated, and they're not involved. I want you to live in gratitude, not in guilt. Again, I can't tell you the number of people, single parents who come into my office, and they are just guilt-ridden because of the damage that they feel that they've inflicted on their child because there's been a divorce, or there's been a separation, or there's been a death in the family. The other parent has tragically and perhaps suddenly, or even after a long illness, has died. And so we kind of heap this guilt on us that impacts and really impedes our parental skills. We're focused on, I feel so bad, and oftentimes what happens is we allow our kids to do things that we ordinarily would not let them do. We kind of let out the reins, too quick, simply because that we're feeling so guilty. So, and there is this idea that's out there that if you're a single parent, you just need to get married. You need some help, and you need to get married again, and you need to get back into the dating scene, and you just need that other parent. Well, I get that. I think it goes without saying, two-parent homes are better, easier than one-parent homes. I get that, but here you're a single parent. And so live in gratitude. Think about what you do have. Think about those kids, and I realize that they get on your nerves. I get that. I really get that. I get that sometimes you just kind of like to ship them off somewhere and just have peace and quiet and not have to worry about anything. I get all of that. But life just isn't that way, is it? And so you can either spend the rest of your life feeling guilty for what has happened that has led to your single parenthood, which then kind of spills over into your children, and they are less confident then, and they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and they're not as use this in quotes, they're not as controlled as they should be. They're kind of out there doing their own thing and kind of surviving on their own. That's not good either. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to either now you can stop this video and do this now, or wait till the end. But here's what I want you to do. Before the day's over today, I want you to take out a sheet of paper, and I want you to draw a line down the middle, and I want you to talk about and list those things that they're just not so good. If you want to list it as cons, okay, or the negative thing. And then on the other side of the sheet of paper, I want you to list everything that you're grateful for. that you have a home, that you have your kids, you have an income, you have, you just list it out. And I want you to do that, and I think you'll find that there are more things that you can be thankful for and express gratitude for than the things that you're guilty for. Okay? Some of you that I'm talking to this morning, some of you do guilt really well. I mean, you're proficient at it. Let's just put it out there. You're proficient at it. You do it so well. You're a professional guilt person, and you have just heaped all kinds of guilt on yourself for what has been and what's gotten you to this point in your life. Look, let's get rid of that. Okay, take out that sheet of paper and list the things that you feel guilty for, and then the things that you feel gratitude for. And I think you're going to find that there's more things to be grateful for than things to be guilty for. So that's tip number one. Live in gratitude, not in guilt. Tip number two, focus on positive parenting. Now, by positive parenting, I don't mean that Johnny acts up or Mary acts up or they make bad grades and it's like everybody gets a trophy. I'm not talking about that. Remember the verse that I just quoted earlier. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart far from it. Ignore the doomsday sayers. Ignore the oh my gosh, your kids are going to be warped and scarred for the rest of their life. That is simply not true, and research bears that out. It is simply not true. Focus on positive parenting. It's easy to be a critical parent, It's easy to just kind of hammer on your kids and tell them all the negative things, and they're not doing this, and they're not grateful, and they're not this, and they're not that, and you should have done this, you should have done that. It's easy to do that. But think about the way your kids are going to turn out with that. They're going to be critical, okay? Because they imitate what they have grown up with. And so focus on positive parenting. Compliment your kids. Tell them what a good job they're doing. It's kind of like being their cheerleader. You're in their corner. You're on their sideline. You're cheering them on. You just know that they're going to do a great job. And you're proud of them. You're just proud of not only what they're accomplishing now, but what they're going to be able to accomplish in the future. You know that they're going to be and what happens is, and again, this is borne out through research, is that those kids who grow up in that kind of environment, even in a single parent home, thrive as adults. They thrive because somebody believes in me. Somebody thinks the best of me. Somebody thinks that I screw up every once in a while, but by and large they love me. They care about me. They want me to succeed. They want me to thrive. They want me to have the best of life. And so focus on positive parenting. Tip number three, the way you care for yourself will influence the way you care for your kids. Let me say that again. The way you care for yourself is the way you will influence the way you care for your kids. In other words, it sounds very noble. I get it. It sounds very noble that you say, well, my kids are my priority. Okay, I get that. Well, my kids come first before anything else. I get that. I understand that, and I've heard that I don't know how many times. I get that. But what happens at the end of the day? What happens when all of your energy is given away? What do you have left for yourself? I'm not saying put your kids on the back burner, and I'm not saying that your kids are not important. What I am saying is that you need to learn how to take care of yourself in a balanced way so that will influence your kids in a more positive way as well. The way you care for yourself impacts and influences how you take care of your kids. So if you're wrung out at the end of the day because you're going here, you're going there, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're involved in this, you're involved in that, the kid's doing this, kid's doing that, and you don't have anything left for yourself, it's kind of like, think of it this way. It's kind of like a battery that's almost gone dead. You turn the key in your car and you rah, 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 rah. And if you just keep grinding on that, it's just going to deplete that battery. Well, many single parents are that way. They expend so much energy toward their kids, toward work, toward other things, and have very little time left for themselves. And if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of your kids. Because listen, being a single parent, it's double the emotional energy. You don't have that second person in the home to kind of fall back on. If your kids have to be at 3 places at the same time, you don't have somebody in the home that can go here and go there and help you out there. No, if your kids need to be disciplined, you don't have that second person there to kind of bounce things off of. It's just you. And if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be in a condition over the long haul to take care of your kids until they're grown and leave home. Think of it in this way. If I'm in a long distance run, if I'm running the Boston Marathon, okay, and if I'm sprinting, when the gun goes off and the race starts, if I'm sprinting the whole way through, I'm probably not going to make it very far. I'm not going to make it to the end for sure. But if I pace myself, and if I know my limitations and I pace myself, then I'm going to be able to make it to the end of the race. Well, the same thing is true here. So taking care of yourself ought to be priority. It's not selfish. It's not self-centered. It's living this balanced kind of life as a single parent. And so the third tip that I would give to you is take care of yourself, and that way you will take better care of your kids. Tip number 4, utilize the support system. Now some of you may be where you are, living where you are, and family is far away. And I understand that. And you've moved here, and because of maybe your spouse's or boyfriend's job, and now you split up, and here you are. You don't have family. Maybe family's in another state, or they're several hundred miles away. It's up to you to get this. You can't do this single parent thing on your own. Please don't try. You'll run that battery completely down. Don't try. Get a support system. Now that may be through community organizations. That certainly can be through your local church. Many churches I know in our area minister specifically to single parents and single individuals. And so gather that support system. I think the local church is a very, very good way to get involved in a Bible study and maybe in a single parent Bible study or in a Bible study of your own age group, your own peers, and you garner that support, and you will find that there are other people out there who struggle with single parent issues just like you do. Maybe it would be good for you to start a single parent support group in your community. That doesn't mean that you're going to be doing therapy. It doesn't mean it's going to be we're going to get together as single parents to gripe and complain and bellyache. No, it means that we're going to garner support, and sometimes local churches can do that. If you attend a local church, talk to the pastor, or your priest, or rabbi, and ask them, can we begin to do this? I know some churches do a parents' night out, where they will supply the children's care workers, and parents can, both single parents can bring their kids to the church, and they will take care of them for a couple of 3 hours, and you can go out and go to dinner and go to a movie and enjoy your evening, come back and pick them up, and there you go. You can't do this single parent thing on your own. You will wear out really quick. You will burn out really quick, and then that will spill over into your children. So utilize a good support system, someone that you can talk to, someone that kind of shares your interest as far as being a single parent, and shares the frustrations and all of that with regard to being a single parent. Okay, so utilize the support system. Tip number 5 is be mindful of how you communicate to your children. they don't understand, the frustrations that you experience as a single parent. They don't get that. Kids just want to feel safe, and they want consistency, and they want to know that somebody is in their corner. And so be mindful of how you communicate with them. If you're always communicating something in the negative, then they're going to grow up, you're going to produce a negative person. If all they hear is criticism and why can't you do this and I need your help with this and why can't you be this way, listen, they're going to grow up negative, because that's all that they've heard, that's all that they've learned. And so be mindful of how you communicate to them. I'm not talking about, there's a time to be stern, okay, there's a time to be direct, but there's also a time that offsets that with being caring and kind and compassionate in your communication. That above all, regardless of what your child does do or does not do, regardless of their negative behavior, there's no such thing as a perfect child, right? I don't have to tell you that. You know that. There's no such thing as a perfect child, and so don't expect your child to be perfect all the time. And above all, they should know that whether they do good things or whether they do bad things, particularly when they do bad things, that you still love them. There are consequences for those things, for sure, but beyond that, you love them no matter what. And so be mindful of your communication pattern with your children. Be careful that you don't bring the frustrations of being a single parent to your child, because they will then think that they are the blame for your attitude, your mindset, your negativity. They will think that they are to blame for that. And so be very, very careful of that. And then finally, number 6, and this I think this is so important. Respect the power of routine. Remember, however you became a single parent, whether it was through divorce or through a tragic death or after a lengthy illness, your spouse, the parent has died. It's not only been an upset in your routine, but even more so with the children. Children tend to thrive on routine. Just ask any school teacher about that. That when things are not routine at school, children kind of respond in a "whoa, wait a minute" kind of thing. Respect the power of routine. That even though you're a single parent family now, things are routine. We get up at the same time, we go to bed at the same time, everybody goes to school, everybody goes to work. There's these chores that need to be done weekly, there's these chores that need to be done daily, and everybody has their own chore, and we're operating as a team here. But the key thing in all of this is to have a routine. Children thrive on predictability. Okay? Children thrive when there's predictability. When they know that we're going to eat at this time, we're going to have lunch, we're going to have breakfast, we're going to have supper at this particular time, and at this particular time we go to bed, at this particular time we get up in the morning, and we do that day after day after day after day, and it becomes routine. It becomes predictable. And so understand that they will thrive. Now, make your routine, make it sustainable. Listen. As a single parent, it's difficult enough in a 2-parent intact family to keep up with the schedule of the kids. There's only so much of you to go around, and so you have to begin to limit what you do in that routine. Is it a sustainable schedule? Is what we're doing sustainable? And see, that goes back all the way back to what I was talking about earlier with regard to guilt. Some single parents get their kids involved in all this kind of stuff because it makes them feel better and not so guilty about being a single parent. It's more about the quality rather than the quantity of time that you spend with your children. Now, there's going to be surprises along the way, right? There's going to be, all of a sudden you're going along this way, and all of a sudden there's a quick left turn, and unexpected things happen. I get that. But as much as possible, you need to provide a regular, daily routine for your children, because then it becomes predictable, and children thrive. They feel safer when there is predictability, when there is a routine day after day after day after day. And so as much as possible, really work toward that. Again, get out a sheet of paper and just look at your routine. Start from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. And I'm talking about you as a family. And what all is going on during the course of the day, even on the weekends. What's going on during the course of the day, every day, 7 days. Map that out. Put that on a sheet of paper, and then start looking at, okay, what are some things that are the non-routine issues here? What are some things that we need to carve out so that we can spend more quality time rather than quantity time? Your children, as they grow up and as they leave home, they'll not remember the hours that you spent with them. They will remember the quality of time that you have spent with them. I want to say that again because that's important. As their children grow up and become adults, they will remember not the quantity of time that you spent with them, the number of hours, but they will remember the quality of time. They'll remember that you were there, that you played a game with them, that you spent time talking with them, that you spent time really helping them to grow. The quality of time, not the quantity of time, is what's really important. So let me kind of wrap all that up. That's 6 tips that I wanted to give you today on single parenting. Listen, I get that it's hard. I get that. It's hard in dual parent homes. It's hard. Just raising kids is hard. But you can do it. You need to just kind of take a step back for a minute, and you need to think about how you're approaching single parenthood. Is it a drudgery? Is it a chore? Because if it is, then that will be portrayed to your children, and they will act out in certain ways because they don't feel like you're doing it because you love them. You're doing it because you have to. Sometimes you have to kind of zero in on your time. Remember, it's about the quality of time, not the quantity of time. You have to shave off some of this other stuff that you may be doing. You also have to take care of yourself. I think if you will heed these 6 tips that I've given to you this week about single parenting, I think if you'll take them to heart, maybe you'll need to stop and go back and replay this a couple of times to get down all the points and what I've said. Make notes, do whatever you have to do. But I think if you'll follow these 6 tips, you will be a better, even better single parent. Well, listen, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living as we've talked about single parenthood. If you have questions or comments, there's 3 ways that you can contact me. The first one is by phone. You can contact me by calling 573-732-4575. Again, that's 573-732-4575. Or you can email me. My email address is lifelineonline@hotmail.com. That's all one word now, lifelineonline@hotmail.com. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can instant message me, and I promise I will get back to you. You need to just leave me your contact information, whether it's cell phone or home phone. Leave that contact information, and I promise I will get back to you. This is an important issue, and so if you'd like to talk about it, I'd love to talk about it with you. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living, and I will see you next time right here on Lifeline for Daily Living.